This is episode 26 of the Home and Family Culture Podcast. I'm Jody Chafee. In this episode, I talked with Shelly Stasney of This and That Parenting blog. Welcome to the Home and Family Culture Podcast, where I discuss how families can discover and design their collective vision, values, beliefs, and traditions that influence their family culture. The purpose of my podcast is to interview experts who can offer tips and tools to aid families in the process of developing their family culture, and also successful individuals whose success was influenced by their family culture. For more information or to subscribe, go to homeandfamilyculture.com, or you can find me on Instagram, Facebook, and Pinterest at Family Culture Podcast, and on Twitter at _Family Culture. You can tune in on my site or on the variety of podcast broadcasting apps like iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn Radio, and even on YouTube. Just search Home and Family Culture with the ampersand between home and family culture. Please remember to like, comment, share, and rate on whatever medium you choose. I would love to hear from you. Shelly Stasney is a wife and a stay-at-home mom of 2 boys. She has a master's in education with a principal's certificate. She taught elementary school for 15 years with some admin positions along the way. She loved professional development and always had way more hours than was required, not to mention all the reading she did and gurus she followed on social media. She always tried to put best practices in place in her classroom. When she found out she was pregnant, she immediately turned that energy into research about pregnancy, childbirth, later on infants, toddlers, and then preschoolers, and she's not stopped. She researches every question she has about children and then some. She hopes that all the time that she's put into research can go beyond benefiting her own children. She wants to benefit her followers by helping them to make informed parenting and family decisions. The purpose of her blog is all things parenting, professional development, this and that parenting. So welcome, Shelly. So
Hi.
glad you're here.
Glad to be here.
Okay, so tell us some more about your inspiration behind starting This and That Parenting.
Actually, probably since Jock was 1-year-old and I had begun doing all this research, it was always kind of in the back of my mind, like I would have this little whisper, maybe a blog is one way to do it. Mm-hmm. But I kept thinking, like, I'm barely like, showering and cooking. How am I ever going to think about a blog? So in the back of my mind, I would just put different topics and, how I wanted this thing to look and whatnot. I didn't ever know if it would come to fruition. Mm-hmm. And then after I had my second child, I probably, even though I was doing all this research and feeling like, I was giving everything to my own children, but doing something, whatever I was doing for children and helping children in the teaching field, mm-hmm. something wasn't being fulfilled in me. I knew I had to somehow go beyond just the stay-at-home mom. I needed to take another step and kind of do my own thing. And so after a lot of prayer, and I started, I think, kind of coming out of the postpartum, I realized I think I'm going to do that blog. And stuff just started showing up in my inbox, and I would talk to people. It just came easily. Yeah. And then I set the goal. I'm gonna do this thing. I'm gonna release it in December 1st, and I did. That's how I set it off.
So I like what you said there, that you felt like you needed to do something, that there was this whisper. That I love that, because I definitely believe that when you listen to those whispers, especially as a stay-at-home mom, that is a big part of self-care. That's something that you have to do. Every mom needs to have something that is like inspiring, mm-hmm. because sometimes the stay-at-home mom stuff can get really tedious because it's so repetitive, it's so redundant. And sometimes you're like, have I accomplished anything? I feel like I'm doing the same thing day in and day out, so I definitely believe that every mom needs to have something that she can see it progress from day to day, and I definitely, a blog or some kind of physical, tangible project or something is a really great way to get that sense of fulfillment. So that's awesome that you listen to that and you are doing something that is not only giving yourself that self-care, but also inspiring and uplifting others. I like that you're using that as an opportunity to reach out to other people. So what would you say is your mission for your blogging, your message that you want to share?
Well, I mean, besides wanting to share the research, I am connecting with other parents. I mean, I wanted to be a teacher since I was 3 years old, and I am a child advocate. Mm-hmm. And so I think that I am advocating for children by reaching their parents. And so even though, I mean, my mission is to, help families make the most informed decisions, I do believe that there's, a lot of ways to skin this cat and still come out with really good results. Mm-hmm. And I just want the parents to feel like they had, information and best practices and research. Yeah. I mean, I know, when you're working and it's all, by the fly by the seat of your pants. And so, I mean, then I was Googling in the middle of the night and things for my teaching practice. So I'm sure that's what working parents are doing. So, I mean, I have a heart for the stay-at-home mom, but also, for the working parent, I'm hoping that this is kind of a one-stop shop to get it all. And I'm still working on the organization of that and how I'm going to get that all across.
Well, that's one of the things that I'm learning is that it's all a part of the process. And when parents see that even our message, it has a beginning and a middle, it's like there's this process that we're going through. I think that also lends to the inspiration that they see, hey, this person is putting out some really great content and they're a person just like me.
Yeah. Human.
Yeah, I love that. So what are some of your views about what family culture is?
I mean, when you look at family culture, I ran across the term family culture when I was researching the traditions. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of how I came and found you as well, is because I was looking into traditions and then I found your name with the culture. Mm-hmm. But along with traditions, I mean, the definition says your traditions, your habits, your practices, and your values. Yeah. And to me, I mean, that kind of makes up your family identity. I mean, when you start really thinking about it, I think that it's anything in your household that happens that's going to leave them lasting mark. That's going to be your family legacy that your children are going to leave your home with. And so I've really tried to, I mean, I think it's how you talk to each other, how you discipline the kids. And so I've really tried to become intentional about it. Mm-hmm. And I believe it has to be intentional. And I think it has to be continuous and nourish and discuss. Like, since I've come across it, I'm now kind of making a point to help my kids notice our family loves books. Our family enjoys eating Mexican food together. Our family enjoys playing together, praying together. Yeah. Learning is fun to us. We like having fun. We like telling stories, making up stories. But I mean, I know you can discuss it, but I think, the living it out is going to be the main thing in the end. Yeah. And I'm think as I go to blog and I start, try to present, I guess I'm sure you found this too. I just don't want parents to look at us, oh, it's another to do. She's telling us another, because as I research and look myself, I'm like, oh, she has a good idea. That's a good idea. But by 2 weeks, if it's not in your ebb and flow and it's not coming natural to your family, it's probably not going to be y'all's culture. It was so-and-so's great idea. And so I don't think it has to be another to do. Yeah. I think it just needs to be, you need to kind of know your culture and your intentions and have your vision, or society is going to give your kids their culture,
Yeah.
And so then I think just being cognizant of your family's vision and, can help with the intentionality and take you so much further. And something else that I'm seeing is huge is fun. I think fun needs to be in the culture. I did a blog on, making sure there's laughter and fun, but I think with some of that postpartum, when I was researching and, whatnot, just how your mood can be.
That's where the rubber meets the road, I think, sometimes. It's like you're whatever, especially as moms, whatever, and parents, whatever mood you're in, that's like the tone. And that's the level of energy. And that's, your visions and your identity, it is implemented based on what the feeling that you have, right? I would say.
Yes. And so, yes. And so, I started to kind of notice my children taking on my mood, and I just, I was like, okay, I got to get a grip on this. But as I was researching, I came across a book, and it was called Why I Didn't Rebel. And the author goes into all these different things, like, why I didn't join a gang, why I didn't do the drugs, why I didn't talk back to my parents, so on and so forth. But as the children give their answers, it basically boils down to because they had a lot of fun in their household. They had something to look forward to. They had and that really spoke to me because, they didn't need to go out and get that.
Yeah.
They were able to get it from home. And so my husband and I discussed this and, just also being intentional about it. Are we keeping this? Because, when you do I noticed this around Christmas. Oh, we need to go here or there. But at the end of the day, I'm like, man, we didn't even laugh, And so
things on our checklist that.
Yes. Yeah. And so it seems like a little thing, but if you look into all of the benefits and the health, the mood, the relationship, and, you can go on to see just 5 minutes can change the day.
Yeah.
So,
they say laughter is the best medicine, right? And
yeah, that was the title of my article.
Well, and that makes so much sense because, I think that because one of the things about family culture is your norms and the things that you default to. And so I could go on about how your habits play into that and that you can actually change your habits to meet your vision or things like that. But if you can't relax and go, you know what, let's just fall into something naturally and then have a sense of humor about it and not be so serious about it, that really, I'm sure that has more benefits that you can't even imagine, like you say, about the relationship and being spontaneous or, just the laughter that can come into your home and making that a big part of your family culture can do so many wonders. I think that's a really awesome tool to add to that. But I also like what you said, that not to make this just another to-do or another checklist, because like you said, not everything is going to work for every family. You have to figure out what it is about your family, because you said in there, your family culture is your identity. And so you pick something that appeals to you. And if that's what you want to work on, you work on it. You don't have to work on everything under the sun to try and fix everything, because then you're going to lose the spirit of it, getting lost in the details of trying to raise your family. But if you just pick the things that really resonate with your family and your identity and the norms that you are most comfortable with, then that's what will enrich and strengthen your family. Because, I've seen advice out there that's like, 0 digital for your kids. Do not, and then I saw some comments about that where, but I let my toddler watch TV so that I can exercise, or so that, if my kids really learn a lot from watching these educational programs or X, Y, and Z. And so, you can't say no family should ever watch TV or use video games. That's just not the case for every family. That might work for some families, but not every family. You got to be able to adapt and figure out what works for your family. I think that's, but I really love that, what you said about fun. That really definitely needs to be a part of, I would say, if you don't have fun, what's going on?
I know. One of the more interesting things I read about that fun that I guess shocked me was the less money a family has, usually the more they are trying to have fun with each other and make each other laugh, because they only have each other for entertainment and they don't have as many things in the home or, screens or whatever keeping them. So it said, they start to entertain and do things together to laugh and then sometimes families with more money, they're counting on other things for entertainment. And so they're not always having joy from, each other and talking as much. So that also shows, we do have to be intentional about the fun.
Yeah. Interesting.
I know.
Yeah. So what does your family like to do for fun?
Well, I will say that my kids are pretty good, natural born sense of humor, which I'm super thankful for because I do like to, but they're very into puppets. My oldest is really into us telling him stories. He'll listen as long as we'll tell. And then, they have some toy microphone they have. I'll act goofy. I change the words to songs and put their life into songs and make them laugh and dance crazy, and they think nothing of it. But we read a lot, and we read a lot of humor.
Nice.
And sometimes we, laugh at each other too, try to make each other laugh. I think that is growing up, I know that I had problems when someone laughed at me, and I don't want to pass that on. So I've tried to lighten up about it.
Yeah. Just make it, what? That's not my problem.
Yeah.
Or laugh along with them. That is pretty funny, huh?
Yes.
I wonder if there's, even more research into this idea of being able to laugh at yourself and how that creates personal resilience. To just be able to be like, what? Lighten up. It's not a big deal. Instead of, being so strict or tight about things, and whether that creates more anxiety,
I remember I could laugh at everyone else, but they couldn't laugh at me. So, I've come a ways on that. Yes.
That's so interesting. I want to go out and buy joke books and plan fun night for. So there's one more thing I want to say about that too, because there's always this idea of, so a growth mindset. It emphasizes the process over the results, and I think that this applies to that idea that if you don't take things so seriously, then maybe, that can really encourage that growth mindset idea that, it's okay to struggle. It's okay to try hard things and go, what, that was pretty hard, but in the end, it was kind of fun, or, things like that, because when you have a fixed mindset, you focus on the things that are easy. You want to, because you don't want to look stupid because you're challenged, then you look stupid. And, but I think that idea that if you can lighten the mood and just have fun with it, that might actually create more of a growth mindset in kids, because then they won't feel so vulnerable or ashamed to try new things or to struggle a little bit, because you're just going to go, what, it's okay. Let's just have fun with it and see if we can, because growth comes from the struggle. Growth comes from the part where you go, ooh, that sounded kind of strange, but let's explore that, or something. Like when you're developing talents, it's the part where if you're practicing an instrument and you hit a wrong note, you go, okay, let's try that one again. And you practice it until you get it right. It's the parts where you're struggling that allow you to grow. And so I think that if you have that sense of humor and that lightheartedness about struggling, then that could really foster that growth mindset in your kids. So that's another facet.
I do read a lot of the growth mindset and fixed, and I mean, I know that my oldest son, he has some risk-taking issues, and I always wonder, did we do something, or was he born that way? Because if he doesn't know, sometimes he won't, if he knows it's not going to be right.
Oh.
Sometimes. And so that's something that I really try to work with and pray about. And I mean, I even have him memorizing mantras, it's okay to make mistakes, and,
right?
and he knows the mantra, but he can't always live it. So that's where I'm like, I got to figure out how to pass that on to him. Know that it's, to complement the effort that's being put in. And I do all of that. And still I don't feel like I'm getting the result. So
yeah, I've noticed sometimes like if we jump in too early during the struggle and try to solve the problem, that doesn't fortify their, self-efficacy, that they can finish something or struggle. It's like, just let them struggle. I mean, as parents, we want to be like, okay, let me come in and solve it for you because I see you're struggling. And it's like, no, just let them struggle. And then because of that amazing sense of accomplishment that they get after the struggle when they do figure it out is I mean, think about when you do something difficult, it's so fulfilling when you actually complete it and you go, wow, that was really hard, but I did it, So that's one of the things that comes to my mind.
Oh yeah, we've discussed.
I'm sure.
Early on, we didn't let him, when he was probably 0 to 1 and we're just sitting there staring at him 5 inches away from him all day, every day. Now we're all paying, but hopefully now we've got our information right and we can help do what we did.
Well, my 7-year-old is that way. I mean, I'll just be like, can you please, let's just work on it. It's okay. It's okay to struggle. And he's like, I don't know. I just don't know the answer. And it's like, okay.
Yeah.
It's okay if it's okay that you don't know the answer. And he tries to pick the right answer or guess. And I'd be like, okay, how did you come to that or something? And it's like, no, I want to hear your process. I want to hear your thoughts. How did you come to that conclusion? He's like, oh, I don't know. No, I want to know. I want to struggle with you. So yeah, that's a challenging one. But I like that idea of just lightening up. Let's just have fun with this. Let's just make it fun.
Yeah. So cool. I was telling my husband, like, we're going to have to do something where they know our culture is okay to make mistakes. We're here for you. We're not going to make fun of you, So
you did mention one book in there. What are those other books that you like to recommend to families when they come to you?
Okay. 2 books that have really changed my mindset since I became a mom. I think that I happened upon Dr. Laura Markham, probably on Baby Center. There was some little quote or something I clicked on.
Okay.
And so I subscribed to the ahaparenting.com, which I highly recommend. And so then I got the book, Peaceful Parents, Happy Kids. I probably have, over 100 Post-its sticking out because,
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep. There's so many great tips in that book.
Yes, there are. And just, you just do what you know until you know better. And there was so many knowing betters finding out for me. And I'll be vulnerable. I spanked before I read the book. I've worked hard on the raising the voice since I've read the book. And those were probably my 2 huge takeaways from the book.
Yeah.
But then just all the little, I mean, there's so many nuggets. I just need to sleep with it under my pillow, and hope that I absorb it, because and I give it as a gift. I've given it, no telling how many of these books I've given, but she just made me rethink some of the things that I just took for granted, that's how you raise kids, and that's how I've seen it done. And that's what I was going to do. But the empathy, the fostering the emotional connection, the spending 5 minutes one-on-one for sure every morning, every after lunch. I know that it has changed our lives so for the positive. And it sounds like nothing, but it's really meant something.
So many simple things, yeah. And I like, though, what you said about it. It was like things that you do things until you know better. And I think sometimes parents are kind of afraid of being taught to know better. I think you don't want to know, but I think it's important to disrupt our habits or disrupt our mindset and go, oh, I can improve on this. And it's really great that the title of those books say Peaceful Parent at the first, and then Happy Kids, because it really does start with parents and our capacity to foster those good habits and mindsets in our home. So I love that.
And then my second was recommended to me. I have several teacher friends who are always really on top of things on parenting books and the latest parenting, this and that. And this book that is the latest that I read is Parenting 14 Gospel Principles That Can Radically Change Your Family. And it is a Christian read, and it's by Paul David Tripp. And he goes through, and some of the chapters are just titled one word, such as grace, identity, process, character, control, rest, mercy. And the message that he reiterates in each chapter is, think of how often you have to ask God over and over again for forgiveness on, the same. That is exactly what that's exactly what you're dealing with your child. And, and I had even thought to myself at times, God, this must be how God feels with me. Because, you find, how many times do I have to say? And I'm thinking, he's probably been saying that about me for 20 years, on some of my... And it's just really helped me to have a lot more grace. And then another message he has is just talking with your kids about, how we're born, what we're dealing with, what we're up against, and a sin nature, and that we're all here for each other to help, bring out the best. And it is amazing how my 4-year-old even took this on and how understanding he's been about it. And I mean, you always hear no blame, no shame. I mean, it kind of has helped to make it easier when you're having a conversation that you're not blaming, but, son, you are up against this. And once again, I see you falling, and what are we going to do about it? We're going to, and so I feel like I was probably way too stressed out each day about, am I getting this right? Am I doing such and such? And the book really helped me see that this is a process. I'm in this along with God. It's not all on my shoulders. Not that I didn't know, but something about the way he says it just was easier to hit home. It's
always good to have a reminder, and yeah.
And I mean, and this is another book, and I've already started. I mean, this is a great baby shower gift, because I so wish I would have had it from year one.
That's awesome. I love that, especially that idea, grace is certainly something that we parents need daily. And, I love that idea of just living each day in grace, that we're not perfect, but we can, we're partnering with God in all of this, and that these children are a blessing to us and a gift to us, and the stewardship that we have to raise and take care of, try and guide them in the right direction, So that's I'm definitely going to check that one out. That's awesome.
Oh, he says that the people who give grace the best are the ones who can admit the easiest that they need it, and talk, don't be ashamed, or don't be afraid to stop in the day and say, oh, see, I'm battling this with this too, and I'm asking God right now. And, and when I said that, I didn't even ask my son to be an accountability partner. Like, once I told him, I've been working on this. He'll bring, Mom, you're doing it, Mom, And I was thinking, yeah, if you want to get rid of a sin or a bad habit, tell your 4-year-old. But it is, he does bring to the table that as Christians, for some reason, we don't always just bring it up and talk about it in our family and call things out and say what they are. Yeah. And so our kids just think, it's all about being good. And if that's what it is, I'm not sure I want to be, that. So yes, if I could give all the parents I know 2 books, it would be those 2. And I've read a lot of them. Mm-hmm.
Awesome. I definitely will add those to my show notes and make sure everybody come to the show notes and click and find those books or go on Amazon or whatever. That's awesome. Well, thank you so much, Shelly. I really love this conversation and discussion, especially about having fun. And, I think it lends to that concept that you talked about from that book about grace is that, being lighthearted or having fun and grace, they all take humility, to just be able to just be like, you know what, we're just gonna put our faith in this process that nobody's perfect, and we're just gonna work on it as we go and have fun along the way. So I really love that. I think that's awesome.
Well said.
All right. So what's your URL that we can find you? Where are you on social media or anything?
Yes. Everything is under thisandthatparenting.com, but the blog is www.thisandthatparenting.com.
Okay. Awesome. So wonderful. Thank you so much, Shelly.
Sure. I appreciate your time. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Awesome. Thank you so much, Shelly. I love that message about grace and humility and fun. What a great reminder to always have fun, to create a space and a home where our kids want to be. I love it. You can go to my show notes at homeandfamilyculture.com to see our discussion and links to Shelly's website, This and That Parenting, and you can find links to find her on social media. You can find me on social media at Family Culture Podcast on Instagram and Pinterest, and _Family Culture at Twitter. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you for your support. Again, you can share this episode by clicking share on whatever medium you're listening to and post it to social media. Thanks again for listening. Hope you have a great day.